and your adventure on the Northeast's highest peak. You are about to embark on a journey that will do more than just take you to the highest summit in the Northeast. You are going to the birthplace of legends, following up a path that leads through time and winds its way through woods. Stewardship that we can resources that we have. Just imagine the first round of 1961 scenes which are active before you have unchanged since then. Also unchanged is the need for safe driving. Multiple safety record over the past century apply to the trip up and as you ascend and descend after you visit these will help maximize safety and minimize inconvenience. Please keep the following in mind as your journey continues. The upper body and size of you should stay in low gear for your entire trip up and down the road. If ever there was a road that was designed for low gear, this is it. Mark Twain once said, "If you don't like the weather in New England, just wait a minute. You must have been thinking of Mount Washington because things can change quickly and dramatically around here. Depending on conditions, you should maintain a speed of approximately 15 to 20 miles an hour. Now, your actual speed will depend on traffic and prevailing weather conditions. If it seems like you're holding up cars behind you, please be considerate of others and allow them to pass. Avoid using your air conditioner, as this may cause the engine to overwork. There will be plenty of cool air to refresh you as you continue to gain elevation. If the vehicle does begin to run hot, turn on the heater. It may sound strange, but it will actually help cool the engine. Should you find yourself driving in a fog at any time while on the mountain, turn on the state law. Must be received. If you need assistance, flag down and green vans or road. We're happy to help you. burned to the ground over the years, around the turn of the century and after, though the base area is still referred to as the Glen, as it always has been. Seasons may change, but they always return, and the day will again surely come when travelers will find lodging in this most historic and remarkable of places. As you drive on through the hardwood forest, try to imagine what the early road builders faced. Dense trees and underbrush, sloping ridges, and immense boulders and ledges were at every turn. Not a particularly inviting place to excavate a road, but this is Mount Washington, she recounted her memories of the road as a work in progress.
We have all been walking in the lowering twilight on the road which is making its way up Mount Washington. Though nothing is impossible to modern science, it would seem impossible to vanquish the obstacles to the enterprise. The inevitable steepness of the ascent, the rocky precipices. We passed on through the debris of blasted rocks, stumps of uprooted trees, and heaps of stones, till we got far enough into the mountain to feel its stern solitude. Mary Langdon.
And when that was written in 1854, they were still 7 years from completion. Unfortunately, for General Maycomber, his financial backing ran out halfway up the mountain, so it ended up taking 2 companies. Years of back-breaking labor, blasting, logging, clearing, and grading to complete the task. During a 2-year delay after the first company had failed, it was questionable as to whether or not the project would ever be completed. But the lure of Mount Washington was too great to keep this road from reaching the top. It was particularly difficult to make any progress with natural obstacles such as the weather combined with the primitive technology of the era to slow things down. Since dynamite had not been invented yet, all the blasting was done with black powder, a dangerous and, at times, unstable explosive. In order to split the massive rock saws and elbow wrenches. Workhorses all in all, there was
We're on the way down.
August 8th, was done and decades later, as laid out in the middle of the last century. Today, this toll road is still privately owned and operated by the Mount Washington Summit Road Company, and with very little change of ownership, has remained a family business. As you continue upward, glimpses of mountain vistas begin to reveal themselves, but it wasn't always this way. In fact, around the turn of the century, logging barons had virtually clear-cut much of what is now the White Mountain National Forest. The decimation of these native forests created not only fire and erosion dangers, but created such an unsightly mess that the cause of conservation was taken up by the average citizen and politicians alike. As a result, the Weeks Act of 1911 established the White Mountain National Forest. These mountains were protected today as pristine reminders of the natural beauty. It is ironic that the destruction of everything that you see around you will never make the effort to save it. Thankfully, what you see today is remarkably similar to what the first nature centers were in 1961. Wagons were specially designed and constructed for the carriage road by the Abbott Downing Company in Concord, New Hampshire. This company manufactured the famous Concord stagecoaches, which, aside from being shipped worldwide for use in commerce and transportation, the strong winds above treeline. Now, the ride down was another adventure in itself, taking a good 2 hours. The wheels on every trip down wore through a set of leather brakes as the horse, driver, and wagon fought gravity the whole way. Also, the carriage road stages weren't alone on the road by any means. Individual hotels had their own coaches for their guests, while other folks drove the family buckboard or surrey or rode on horseback. Then, as now, it was an active road that required the driver's full attention. As the word continued to spread, more and more people found their way to New Hampshire's North Country. New railroads, past the lakes and into the hills, rural traveling tourists found Mount Washington. Back in the early 60s, it was thought to be a As you continue upward, you'll begin to notice startling changes to the vegetation. Nearer to the bottom is a typical northeastern hardwood forest composed of maple, oak, birch, and beech trees.
Pay attention to the road. I don't know. Big, strong rock.
These trees are diminishing greatly in size as a combination of wind, cold, and scarcity of To explore the mountainside, you're aware that the endless vistas are only one of the most obvious wonders. There is an amazing world just under your feet, which, if not cared for, could be lost forever. Never pick up or step on a flower. When you're out of your vehicle above treeline, please step only on the rocks. In this way, our fragile ecosystem will be something to marvel at for centuries to come. Scientific interest in more than 2 million. In the last century, just the knowledge of being cleansed.
I send you a greeting this morning from the cupola of New Hampshire. If perchance you are suffering from the heat, when this missive reaches you, let your eyes cool themselves by reading that just outside the tip-top house, the mercury is at 34 degrees.
Go in.
Today has evolved greatly from how it all began so long ago. It's always been a hub of activity for travelers to the White Mountains. The Summit community in the 1890s was a very busy place. It featured a large hotel, stage office, railroad station, and even had its own newspaper. Among the Clouds was the first and only newspaper ever to be published on a mountaintop. All visitors to the peak had their names published in its pages along with the local news and gossip. In fact, the latest update down